normally I get to say we're live, but nobody else came in but me, so I'm live. And Renz, I've got something just for you. Hey, Google, play. I don't know if you can hear the music. But we're live on Facebook and YouTube. And hopefully Ted and or Mike will be in here soon. But so far, nobody but me has shown up. Okay, here's Ted. Can you hear the music, Ted?
Yep.
Okay. Oh, well, Renz, if I ever do pull out the sax and play, I can play this song because I've played it in bands before. It's Wine Light by Grover Washington Jr. Matter of fact, ask Eleanor. She's heard me play this live. Can you hear me talking okay?
You're asking me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. First one in was Eleanor again. And then Brian came in at 7:05. And then Renz came in at 7:36. Where Nigel is, I have no idea because he was asking me about it this afternoon while I was working, and I told him when I started it, but I haven't seen him show up yet. And of course, it's 1 o'clock in the morning where he is, and I know he never gets enough sleep, so he might have fallen asleep.
Got some shut-eye, yeah.
Yeah, Renz is asking you a question.
No cake. No cake today. I actually had what did I have for lunch? It was a McDonald's day today, so that was an apple pie with a caramel sundae. I like to mix it together.
Okay. So you had it your way. No, that's Burger King. I know you deserve a break today at McDonald's. Hey, I'll give you a throwback.
I'm loving it.
I'll give you a throwback. 2 all beef patties plus with sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on them, and sesame seed bun. That's way back in the 80s.
Was that the Big Mac? Yeah, that was the Big Mac.
Yes, that was the Big Mac, yes. Which I had one last week. I rarely eat anything from McDonald's, but I did have one last week.
Yeah, I'll have McDonald's, their treats, their ice cream. Their ice cream is the closest thing I can have to soft serve that exists. And then what's else? And I like their McChicken with jalapenos. You gotta have a McChicken with jalapenos.
Let me see. Eleanor is saying the music's too loud. It's hard to hit it. Hey, Google, decrease volume.
Yeah, Eleanor is saying, turn down the music.
Well, Eleanor has heard this song probably hundreds of times, and she's heard me play it live a few times. So she's probably had enough of it. Crystal is in here. Welcome, Crystal. Glad to have you here. And did you hear anything about Mike, whether he's joining us or not?
No.
Okay. Well, I hope that means he'll be joining us late.
Yeah.
Okay, so I hope everybody had a good week.
Hey, I can't comment. Oh, is that only for you, George?
Here's a very honest comment from Eleanor. I always say everything is too loud when Joy plays. I think it's hard of hearing. What Eleanor does not like rock music a whole lot. I love rock music. And since I've played and sang in a number of rock bands, I was always the singer that's saying, crank it up louder because you cannot drown me out when I'm singing.
Somebody froze. Is it me? Is it me that froze? Yeah, it's probably me that froze.
It's impossible.
No, it's not me that froze.
When you're ready, give it another try.
Yeah, it was telling me it was having some internet connect. This is Comcast. This is why I don't like Comcast.
Double check on the feed. I was like, oh, no, it's not me. Huh?
No, it's not you. It's me this time. Okay. Send button is too close to the center. Oh, well, yeah, you got that small phone, Brian. Yeah, see?
Small. It's an iPhone 8.
iPhone 12 Pro, And I am loving the size of the screen on the S21 Ultra. This thing is awesome. It's a heavy phone, but I love the size of the screen, and the clarity is absolutely incredible. And
the clarity?
So far, the clarity on the screen.
Mm.
And so far, every picture I've taken, people just love the pictures. So I'm going to try to get some more stuff done just with the 21 Ultra this weekend. So hopefully I'll get some stuff. It's supposed to rain again tomorrow. I'm going to try to get on the bicycle, which I haven't done in a week and a half because of the cold weather. So we'll see how that goes.
Can't wait for this cold weather to go. I haven't been on a bike 2 weeks because of it.
Well, the funny thing here is a week and a half ago on a Tuesday was the first time I could actually wear shorts while I was bike riding. And when I finished, it was 69 degrees. And now we're back to 20s in the morning and 40s for high. Today we get up to 53. So I would love for it to be there tomorrow because I will definitely be on a bicycle if it is. So, all right. So let's go into our stories. And I think this is the first week in a while there are no phone stories whatsoever. They're all text stories, but no phone stories. So I'm going to try to pull up the first story. Like I said, my computer's been acting slow for a couple of days. But see if I can share the screen. Oh, they changed something in StreamYard a little bit. Okay, I got it. All right there, I'm sharing. And there we are. So I thought this was a big deal this week.
For Amazon.
Jeff Bezos, yeah. Well, keep in mind, Amazon affects, if not everybody in America, I'd say a whole lot of America, a big chunk, especially during COVID. So to me, this is a big deal. So this was on the CNET. Jeff Bezos steps down as CEO just as Amazon cements itself in our lives. Bezos loved to take risks and play the long game, resulting in one of the most powerful tech companies in the world. Jeff Bezos is going the route of Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, and Larry Page, ceding the CEO responsibilities of a powerhouse company in full stride. Amazon has reached new heights of influence and relevance amid our pandemic-driven lockdown lives. For Bezos, it's been more than a quarter century of shattering the status quo in everything from how we buy everyday items to how we interact with the gadgets in our homes. Buried a few paragraphs into the company's blowout fourth quarter report. Remember, blowout fourth quarter report. These people are making some serious bucks. Buried in a few paragraphs into the company's blowout fourth quarter report Tuesday was the announcement that Bezos, the world's second wealthiest man behind Elon Musk, would step down as CEO to become executive chairman in the third quarter. In his place will be one of his key lieutenants, Andy Jassy, who runs the highly profitable Amazon Web Services business. That's the largest web service business in the world by a whole lot. Yeah. The elevation of an Amazon veteran should ensure a smooth transition, not that Bezos is likely to be completely hands-off with the business. Since founding Amazon in 1994, Bezos has gone on to reinvent the company dozens of times. In the process, Amazon has muscled in or outright dismantled whole industries. From a simple online retailer, Amazon expanded into cloud services and artificial intelligence through its Alexa digital assistant, which powers millions of smart homes. It's even taken a stab at physical retail, which it's in the process of destroying, through its ownership of high-end supermarket Whole Foods Market and a host of experimental stores. But millions know Amazon through its core Prime service, which has evolved from a subscription delivery service into a digital platform that offers streaming video and music, photo storage, and other services. It's grown from a luxury to an essential for people reluctant to leave their homes in the middle of the coronavirus pandemic, and more comfortable having everything from toilet paper to this week's groceries delivered to their doorstep. Do you order your groceries from Amazon or any other store?
No, but my girlfriend does.
Oh, okay. I don't.
Lazy.
But we're, in Tennessee, at least in this part of Tennessee, we're fairly normal.
But I was going to say, but they're fast. They are at least fast about it. When she does go to, it's usually the next day.
Okay. Now we got Nigel. Nigel's
here. Hey, Nigel. Welcome.
The world is back to normal. Okay, we're good. Yeah, look at Ren's comments on Amazon. Okay. That dynamic was amply illustrated by a fourth quarter net profit, just one quarter, $7.2 billion, more than double its year earlier total. Jeff Bezos really knows how to go out on a high note. I'm skipping that part. Amazon's dominance has raised questions about the power that the company wields among a broader, more skeptical look at the role that big tech plays in our lives. Stepping down will presumably allow Bezos to step away from the day-to-day operations of Amazon, giving him time to focus on other pursuits, including his aerospace company, Blue Origin. And interesting, I've seen other articles where Bezos wants Blue Origin to get past SpaceX. So I guess between him and Musk, it's a big race going on now, or it's about to be going on. To think it all started with physical books. Remember those?
I remember being overcharged with them. Amazon didn't save me.
And Amazon didn't what?
Didn't save me when I was a student and I had to pay $60 for textbooks.
Oh, no, I hate that. I hate what they charge in schools for textbooks.
And I'm not even talking college. This was high school.
Wow. While Bezos started Amazon, originally known as Cadabra, I didn't know that. In 1994, the biggest selling proposition was discounts on books. In a warehouse tour with CNET staffer Ron Reagan in 1997, Bezos crowed about the 30% discount offered on every New York Times bestseller. In a video accompanying the story, you can see workers manually printing out orders and picking out books by hand. That's a long time ago. That's a far cry from the robots and automated systems that live in fulfillment centers like its 1.2 million square foot, that's 26 football fields, facility in Fall River, Massachusetts, which ships everything from iPhone chargers to life-size Yeti statues. I wouldn't mind having a life-size Yeti statue. You should buy me one, Ted. It's also different from the Core Prime program, which was introduced in 2005 as an all-you-can-eat delivery service that promised 2-day shipping without cost beyond the subscription fee. I did not know it was started as a food delivery service. The Model Echo Warehouse Club programs like Costco's, which charge a monthly fee to access discounted products. The program started out as a nice to have, but became more useful as Amazon stocked more and more products, often at prices cheaper than brick and mortar competitors like Walmart or Kmart offered. Amazon began adding new services to Prime, including a streaming video offering complete with original shows, and later photo storage, ebooks, and gaming. A year ago, Amazon said it had 150 million Prime subscribers in 19 countries. Bezos, meanwhile, brought Amazon to Hollywood in 2010 with the founding of Amazon Studios, the company's original film and video arm. Amazon Studios was initially designed as a riff on the disruption Amazon brought to books with self-publishing. At first, the division aimed to mine a community of amateur screenwriters and filmmakers to uncover gems that would normally never get past the gatekeepers of Hollywood. Find a hit like 50 Shades of Grey, but for TV or movies. But it didn't take long for Amazon to realize that paying a lot of money to people who are already skilled at film or television tended to deliver better results, aka the Netflix model. In public view, Bezos was probably most associated with Amazon Studios as his personal entry point to showing up in the audience at the Oscars or Golden Globes. And I think Prime Originals, some of the stuff that they produce, some of them are really, really good in my opinion. The growth of all its businesses has turned Amazon.
The Expanse season finale was Wednesday.
I tried again to get into The Expanse last. I just can't get into that show. I don't know.
What? What's not to get into?
And I usually love sci-fi, but I don't know. It's just something about it. Doesn't do it for me. Anyway, the growth of all its businesses has turned Amazon into a massive employer. During the past year alone, the company hired hundreds of thousands of employees to meet the increased demand for, well, just about everything as it struggled to keep up with the order volume. Less visible yet, just as important is Amazon Web Services, founded a year after Prime, which offers on-demand cloud computing. Under Jassy, AWS has grown to be the market leader by a large stretch, the biggest on earth. Even though demand for Prime has driven Amazon's revenue growth, AWS has long served as the engine for profits. In the latest quarter, AWS made up nearly half of Amazon's total operating income. And that tells you that's a division that makes a whole lot of money.
Yeah.
Bezos' push to disrupt things didn't just apply to retail. In 2007, he unveiled the Amazon Kindle e-reader, which sparked the ebook market while other e-readers existed. The svelte Kindle allowed wireless downloads of books, setting it apart. And Steve may not be watching from England, but I think he usually comes and watches it later. So I know Steve is a huge Kindle owner and reader. He reads, 4 or 5 books a week, I think. And I think he reads them all on Kindle. The Kindle market marked the start of an explosion of hardware from Amazon, all designed to tie people back to its core online store and Prime service. The most significant was the debut of the Echo speaker in 2014. At the time, a curiosity with its voice-activated Alexa digital assistant. But Amazon continued to add capabilities to Alexa, allowing it to offer sports scores, weather updates, and headlines from NPR. Its expanded support allowed Alexa to power smart home gadgets like lights and air conditioners. Yeah, Eleanor controls her lights with that or Google. Amazon's success kicked off a race to control the smart home, with Google pushing its own assistant in its home line of speakers and Apple pushing Siri in its HomePod lineup. And I think Apple's losing that race by a whole lot. Bezos has had his share of flops. Most notably, Amazon tried to break into the phone market with the Fire Phone. Yeah, don't I remember that? Yeah. Which featured a multi-camera and 3D display gimmick, but it was panned for the way it hooked into shopping as one of its key drivers. That's exactly what killed that phone.
But it was because of that phone, because that phone led to what? It actually led to the rest of the Fire products. So it's still technically kind of a success.
Okay. Well, my manager, when I was programming at Blue Cross, he had one, and he was the one person, he absolutely loved the Fire Phone. He just loved it.
I'm sure he was the one person. I remember who was selling, I think it was AT&T, or you could buy it from Amazon for like $300, and they would give you free Amazon Prime, and you would basically be getting the phone like for free when you factored in the Prime cost.
Yeah, he got my boss got Amazon Prime for free because of it. Hey, Robert Kessler's in here. I haven't seen you in a while. Hi, Robert. Glad to have you here. Okay. Then there's still Bezos never been expected to experiment. As evidenced by Alexa-powered glasses and the Echo Loop Ring. Do you know the Echo Loop Ring, Ted? I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, it's the ring that has Alexa on it. I think Mr. Mobile tried it out, reviewed it.
Yeah, I must have missed that video because I didn't see it. Amazon in October offered its most ambitious lineup of new products, which included a new cloud gaming service, a Ring camera drone, and bulbous new Echo Dots, cementing its position as a tech hardware leader. Then there's Amazon's Prime Air drone delivery service, which people thought was a glorified publicity stunt when Bezos showed it off during his 60 Minutes interview in 2013. Though Amazon is responsible for the destruction of a number of brick-and-mortar stores, do you remember Virgin Megastore, Circuit City, or Barnes & Noble? That hasn't prevented Bezos from experimenting with physical retail. Bezos in 2017 spent $13.7 billion to acquire Whole Foods Market in what was its largest acquisition ever. All of a sudden, the online retailer had roughly 460 physical stores. Later that year, it launched Amazon Books, a throwback to its original mission statement. In 2018, the company began rolling out its cashless Amazon Go stores, as well as an experiment with an alternative to Whole Foods. Beyond the concept stores, Amazon has long owned a large number of fulfillment centers and warehouses where many of its controversies have erupted. The company has long fielded complaints about the treatment of its warehouse workers, including pregnant employees who sued the company for discrimination. Amazon also ran into criticism in early 2020, yes it did, as it struggled to protect its workers from the coronavirus, prompting lawmakers to press the company to do more to address coronavirus infections. The company also drew criticism for firing 3 warehouse workers, yeah, even I wrote about that, who spoke out against working conditions, although it argued that employees violated internal policies. The company has stepped up its spending in the area and spent $4 billion on COVID-19 related costs in the fourth quarter. And then it goes on to talk about his marriage and the breakup and his affair. And let's see. Oh, it talks about, I guess I probably just didn't get. Bezos became the stuff of gossip rags after he and his wife, Mackenzie Bezos, announced their divorce on Twitter. This was followed by a story from the National Enquirer that detailed his relationship with Lauren Sanchez, the wife of WME talent agent Patrick Ritzel, which also included a series of text messages sent to each other. That must have been pretty embarrassing. The story took a strange twist a month after the divorce announcement, when Bezos published a lengthy Medium post alleging an apparent blackmail plot by the National Enquirer. He said the publication was threatening to release nude pictures of him unless he ended a private investigation into how the tabloid got a hold of his text messages to Sanchez. I like what he said, though. Rather than capitulate to extortion and blackmail, I decided to publish exactly what they sent me, despite the personal cost and embarrassment they threatened. I think that's what everybody should do when somebody's blackmailing. The twist continued after a private investigator alleged that Saudi Arabia hacked Bezos' phone and private information. Gavin, the investigator, came to the conclusion after Bezos hired him to figure out how private messages about a personal relationship were leaked to a tabloid. A United Nations report came to the same conclusion. Can you imagine your affair getting all the way to the United Nations? That's heavy duty, man.
Yep.
The Saudi government has denied the allegations. All right, then it goes on to talk about the congressional heat they're feeling alone.
I just want to point out, though, that if, the owner of Amazon can't even get, some privacy on his own phone and devices, what chance do you guys have to just own the products that owns his products? Like,
yeah. What is he saying? Which one of you searched for those pics? I did.
What?
Oh, you mean those? I thought you meant the pics in the article. No, I didn't. I don't want to see.
You searched for Jeff Bezos' nudes. Okay. I was like,
I don't want to see those.
Okay, like, just out of curiosity, like, oh.
I don't want to see a naked Jeff Bezos any more than I want him to see a naked me.
That's a good.
So anyway, I just thought that was a big deal that he was stepping down as CEO. I just hope he doesn't go the way Gates went.
What happened to Gates?
Depends on what you believe about Bill Gates. His whole, what do you call the indoctrination? What do you call the needle? For the COVID vaccine. His whole vaccine thing going back to, I think, 2004, there have been many, many, many young girls and kids in both India and Africa who've been hospitalized. In Africa, a lot died, all from vaccines that Gates companies were pushing. So that's why I said I hope Bezos doesn't go the way of Gates. All right. Let's see. Let me check the comments. Nobody has. Which one?
Nothing. Never mind.
Say what you want to say.
Nope. Never. It's okay. I'll just type it.
Okay. All right. I'm going to pull the next story, which I thought was kind of a big deal. Ted, you want to take this one?
Yeah. Hold on.
Okay. This is also on CNET. I'm going to share it here.
He had a good wife too.
Well, yeah, The Good Wife was on TV. That was a TV show.
I was talking about. Obviously, I was talking about Mackenzie Scott.
But can we ever know if these people are good or not? All we get is a publicity front. We don't
good
know
or not. She put in the seed money to help him with his parents to help him start the company that is Amazon. I was talking good in that regard.
Okay. That's good. I thought you were talking personal. But yeah, I guess that is kind of personal, and that is kind of pretty good too. So I got to agree with you. All right, whenever you're ready.
She was the one who was actually working while he was out playing in the garage, starting a company. All right, let me talk about another billionaire product now.
That's true. Well, the richest man in the world product at the moment.
Okay, SpaceX Starship SN9. S9?
Yeah.
Flies high, explodes on landing just at like SN8.
Yeah, this was 3 days ago.
After a delay and a flap with the FAA, the Mars rocket prototype ran a vertical 10,000 on Tuesday. Let's see. The second flight of a prototype of Elon Musk's next generation Starship rocket meant for eventual trips to Mars was picture perfect right up until the landing, which, like the test of an earlier prototype, ended in a fiery explosion. After several days in a dust-up with the FAA over its launch license, SpaceX launched the vehicle dubbed SN9 from its Boca Chica, Texas facility around 12:30 p.m. The three-engine rocket flew to an altitude of 6 miles, shutting off its 3 engines in sequence as it climbed higher. Then it began a long fall back to Earth as its predecessor SN9A did during a test flight in December. As it came in for a landing, SN9 executed a landing bird to orientate itself vertically for a touchdown, then appeared to land hard and not quite vertical, exploding on impact just as SN8 did. The FAA...
Let me go back to the picture, because you can actually see just before it explodes in this little video, it's trying to turn. Just before it... See? It's
boom!
Turning, and
that's
it never
a big
made
explosion.
It
a
never
huge
made
explosion.
the turn. Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
I mean, even without the turn, it looked like it fell hard.
Yeah, it did.
Damn. You think these rocket scientists will put parachutes on their rockets at a certain speed?
If you're trying to turn a rocket around to land it standing straight up, which they've done many times successfully so far, and they're the only ones that I know of that have done that. I mean, most of their rockets, they turn around and land perfectly, even on ships. So, but I guess when you're coming out with a new model, it's a lot tougher. So go ahead.
Let's see. Well, I don't know if it's a new model or it's just, the
the
first
SN8.
one was destroyed.
Yeah,
It's
the
'cause
SN8 and the SN9 are both new models, but they've already
Oh,
got the next one. Yeah, they've already
okay.
got the next one ready to go. So
Let's see. The FAA announced that after the flight, the agency will open and oversee an investigation into SN9's landing mishap. Although this was an uncrewed test flight, the investigation will identify the root cause of today's mishap and possible opportunities to further enhance safety as the program develops. SpaceX still considers that a test success and will continue to gather data for future test flights that will eventually take the prototypes to orbit. We just gotta work on the landing.
yeah, and that makes sense. I mean, for all the goals you're trying to accomplish, maybe most of them were very successful, just not the last one.
Which arguably is the most important one.
Well, not if you're collecting data that is very important before that. It could be the majority of what they needed from this flight they got. Who knows? So I can see where it might have been successful even with that crash landing.
All failures are a learning experience. This isn't a success, though. You can't. No, I refuse to be this is a success. Success.
See, now think about it. Now, maybe I look at things from a programmer's mind, but if I have 5 things that I want to accomplish, and it crash lands, okay, that's bad. But if I accomplish the other 4 things, I'm going to consider it a success because I actually learned what I wanted to learn. You disagree?
If you're writing a program and you got all the project entries done right, and then when you execute it, it crashes, is that a success?
No, but now keep in mind, you're talking to a CICS program, at least to much of my career, which means most of my programs were live in front of you. So if I wrote a new program and 50 people used it successfully, but the 51st person, now it crashed, I might consider it a success. Because
maybe
50 people got to use what they wanted to use, and that could be the same here.
Well, if your target audience, your target size is 51 people, then yeah, that's a success. However, if that 51 people is supposed to be like a sample to represent 1 million people,
then you're right. Then you're right. It's not a success. But for instance, I wrote the very first live program that Wall Street used for the NASDAQ. Mm-hmm. My whole group wrote. One wrote the New York Stock Exchange. One wrote the American Stock Exchange. I wrote the NASDAQ, and another guy wrote another part. But we were the first one. We all worked for PaineWebber then. And we were the first ones to ever put a live system into Wall Street that they could use real time right in front of them. And my boss was the hero of heroes and got a big raise. and we all got a big raise. So
let's see. So yeah, the revelation explains the week of delays before launch. Hold on. It became clear that early Tuesday morning, this might finally be the day of SN9's maiden and only flight, when the FAA said an email statement that it had approved the launch license for SN9, while also revealing that the December launch of SN8 was done without full sanctioning of the agency.
Which that said a lot to me, because that tells me that SpaceX has so much clout that they can launch a rocket without the full permission of the agency, and they don't seem to be in trouble. That tells you they have a whole lot of clout.
Yeah. The revelation helps explain the weeks of delays before the launch of SN9. Last week, SpaceX and Musk engaged in a staring contest with the FAA, and the FAA didn't blink. On Thursday, SpaceX went through the process of loading fuel into SN9 in preparation for launch at its Texan Gulf Coast facility, but the FAA didn't give its approval for the flight to take place. Musk aired his frustration with the government agency on Twitter. FAA publishes...
Go ahead. Let me know where you're going.
Unlike its aircraft division, which is fine, the FAA Space Division has a fundamentally broken regulatory structure. Their rules are meant for a handful of expendable launches per year from a few government facilities. Under those rules, humanity will never get to Mars.
So are you getting the import of that paragraph? Because what this is saying, before SpaceX came along, what did the government do when they, well, any rocket they launch, it would crash back to Earth, and that's what they expected. And what this is saying, they haven't written any regulations for rockets that come back and land safely, which most of SpaceX's rockets do. So they need some serious upgrading of their procedures, obviously.
Unlike its aircraft division, which is fine, the FAA Space Division has a fund. In response to a request for comment, the FAA spokesperson said, "We will continue working with SpaceX to resolve outstanding safety issues before we approve the next test flight."
Yep. Anyway, I just thought that was an interesting stuff, and I was surprised at how obviously powerful SpaceX is, even with government divisions, because they can launch stuff without full permission to do so.
That is crazy, though.
Yeah.
A fine or something. Meanwhile, if you fly your drone next to 5 miles outside of the airport, FAA is not gonna. FAA will hesitate.
It'll be all over your butt.
Ooh.
Okay, next story. Oh yeah, I did have. This is the one phone story I did have this week, and I just thought it was. I just thought it was interesting. It's nothing earth-shattering.
Look at Renz's comment.
Let's see.
Look at.
Okay, Musk should go to North Korea and to see and talk with the Rocket Man. He might get an approval there for flight. Well, obviously, Renz, he doesn't need approval because he can put it up whether they approve or not. So if he got it back without crashing, then I think he'd really be good to go.
I'm sure Rocket Man might even give him some, human test subjects just to trial run inside the rocket.
Absolutely. Yeah, you could count on that. And they probably all be Muslim test subjects too. Okay, this is on Android Central. The Google Pixel 5 and LG Wing are now future-proof with C-band 5G support. I didn't even know about C-band until I saw the story.
Can't even get 5G in here. They're giving phones a C-band. I'm like, goodness gracious.
Yeah, but the one who doesn't particularly need it right now is T-Mobile because they have the mid-band, which outdoes everybody else's at the moment. All right, the Google Pixel 5 and LG Wing have been cleared to access C-band 5G frequencies by the Federal Communications Commission, according to a report from PC Mag. LG and Google can now push a software update to enable C-band access on the two phones. Until now, Samsung's Galaxy S21 and Apple's iPhone 12 lineup were the only phones with C-band support in the U.S. I have two phones with C-band support. I'm cool. C-band networks are expected to deliver much faster speeds than nationwide 5G from AT&T and Verizon, along with a better range than Verizon's impressive UWB 5G network. However, C-band frequencies are expected to become available for use only by late 2021 or early 2022. Major U.S. carriers spent over $80 billion last month licensing C-band frequencies, while Verizon is reported to have spent approximately $30 billion. AT&T is said to have spent around $20 billion. Per PC Mag, the FCC filings specifically refer to the Verizon and AT&T variants of the LG Wing and not the T-Mobile variant. This isn't surprising, as T-Mobile has similar mid-band frequencies and isn't quite as dependent as the other two major U.S. carriers on C-band. While there are only a handful of devices with C-band support currently, a vast majority of flagship phones that will be released in the second half of the year are expected to support these frequencies. By next year, you can expect to find C-band support on the best Android phones across their various price points. Now, what that says to me is that I guess it's impressive that the S21 has it already, but the iPhone already had it last November. So that's kind of impressive to me. And that's the end of that story. I just thought this whole C-band thing was interesting. So I guess as long as C-band is not out there for Verizon and AT&T, T-Mobile will have the lead because they have that mid-band, which is the whole reason they bought Sprint in the first place. All right, let's see.
It is interesting. Brian.
He's finally got some love for his Pixel 5. Okay. Okay, Ms. Run saying haters will say can kill us because of C-band. Well, that's true. That is very true. Okay.
All right. Let's see. Oh, the Wall Street bets GameStop saga continues.
Exactly. That's what I used as my background this week. I just thought it was cool.
Let's see. GameStop stock has crashed.
Let me get the screen shared first. Remember, you're dealing with an old man here. Okay, I'm ready. Back to CNET.
Okay. Let's see. Sorry, hold on.
Okay.
All right, so GameStop.
Wait, we're buffering again. Okay, seems to be okay. I just think this whole story is fascinating as all get out. Go ahead.
So, GameStop stock has crashed. Oh no, but the Reddit still wants it to send it to the moon. How and what's next? Let's see. Wall Street's big bets against GameStop went sour when Reddit traders bet on the company's success instead. Now, billions of dollars are on the line.
It's true.
For a while, the little guy was on a roll. A bunch of Reddit users brought up shares of struggling video game retailer GameStop, taking on Wall Street investors who bet on the company would fail, while Wall Street bet against GameStop so much and for so long that at times it was one of the most heavily bet against stocks on the market. Should have been AMC. When people in the Reddit community, Wall Street bets began pushing up GameStop share price, establishment investors started losing billions and billions of dollars. Since then, GameStop shares have been swinging wildly, going from $17 at the start of the year to $483 last week, and then to $90 by the close of Monday's trading. Shares rose slightly on Tuesday to close at $92, which still down more than 80% from their highs last week.
See, I look at it the other way around. Okay, at the start of the year, you were at $17, and now you're at $91, $92. I think that's a pretty good.
That's still a pretty good. Oh, bro! As long as no idiots bought it above $100, like, whew,
yeah.
What are you thinking?
When you get to the end of the story, they're expecting it to go well above that.
What makes this roller coaster unusual is why the Reddit community is buying up GameStop shares. Some may say they believe in GameStop's future. What future? Others are attracted to the idea that the higher GameStop shares goes, the more Wall Street's bad bets will continue to cost institutional investors money. It's become political, said Derek Hausmeyer, a professor of finance at George Mason University. He's been watching Wall Street bets forums for a year and a half and seen the community take insane positions in the market, throwing all their money to a position that sometimes wins big and sometimes loses even worse. But the fight against Wall Street is different, he said. Many communities are angry at big investors' behavior over the past decade, be it when they were bailed out during the financial crisis or watching them make even more money as people suffer during this pandemic. As GameStop stock withered, Wall Street bets traders have been posting that their fight against Wall Street isn't over and that the stock will likely jump again on the backs of Wall Street's still bad bets. More people who profited from the GameStop price surge have also begun talking, including a hedge fund that said it made $700 million profit riding the share price wave. Regardless of how the battle over GameStop ends, investors and industry watchers say the online forums have shown that they can be a force in the market. I think now that they've recognized their power and now they've learned more or less some lessons. We're going to get more of it, not less of it, said investor Dallas Mavericks owner Mark Cuban. He also gave a pep talk to the Wall Street Bets forum that day, posting that the group had changed investing in big ways. No disruption is easy or happens in a straight line. Stay with it. I am a believer. The current low point for GameStop stock is just the latest among twists and tales that have come to make up a crazy story. And aside from Cuban, the other celebrities have gotten involved, including Tesla CEO Elon Musk, and CNBC financial commentator and former hedge fund manager Jim Cramer. There's even Michael Burry, one of the subjects of the book and movie The Big Short, great movie, who happens to be a prominent investor in GameStop. Even Silicon Valley found a way to get in the middle of its mess. It's wild. Despite the move being characterized as insane and a Ponzi scheme, market manipulation and mass psychosis, GameStop stock has become the theater for a war between Wall Street and the internet traders. Nearly all of them expecting it to fail. The question are when and who will be on the losing end when it does.
But you see how they're taking a side already? They're characterizing it as a Ponzi scheme. These people are just investing. The only people doing anything illegal here is Robinhood. Yes, me. Go ahead.
Let's see. It's not just a GameStop either. Reddit traders set their eyes on BlackBerry too, attempting to pull the same trick against Wall Street's negative bets. Speaking of onward mobility, where the hell is this phone? It's supposed to come out this year, right? Like, what the heck? Like, this is good traction.
That was just rumors.
Like, send out a promotion about it or something. Like, hey, 10 more days. Or like, Jesus Christ.
If it comes out at all.
So far, they've pushed shares up more than double from $6.58 per share, where they started at the beginning of the year, though its price has swung up and down as well. There's also AMC Theaters, which saw its business crater as movie releases were pushed back and people stayed at home. But Reddit users think Wall Street's being overly pessimistic about that one too, leading them to spawn the hashtag SaveAMC on Twitter. Its stock jumped $2 per share at the beginning of the year to $19.90. So trading companies such as Robinhood, TD Ameritrade, and Weibo responded to the fluctuations by restricting trades of GameStop, AMC, and other fast-moving stocks during the chaos.
So they're manipulating the market. That's illegal. I don't care how you slice it. That's illegal.
Well, not all market manipulation is illegal. I mean, what Wall Street Bets is doing.
Stopping trading on a stock is illegal. As long as you're letting other people buy the stock. That's illegal.
Let's see. Robinhood drew particular ire, leading Representative Rashida Tlaib and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, as well as Ted Cruz, to criticize his decision. And he's now going to appear on February 18th to testify in Congress about why he did what he did.
Okay, but to have those three agree, that's pretty heavy-duty stuff there.
Yeah, they've been doing so.
Even I agree with. That's the first time I ever agreed with Cortez too. Yeah.
But what's this? Robinhood's been doing some heavy, promotion now, heavy marketing.
They're in big trouble, and
they're always on my Twitter feed, like, "Hey, Robinhood's this." I have to tell you, Twitter, like, "Hey, no, I don't want to see them."
I was watching a video earlier today, and the woman that the president has as head of the FCC now. It's SEC. Sorry. She used to work for one of the other big companies who is bailing out some of these companies that are losing money. So they're saying she has a conflict of interest and she has no business judging this case. And I agree.
Let's see. Now, Robinhood is being accused of outright market manipulation, including at least one proposed class action lawsuit filed already. Robinhood, for its part, said market rules effectively forced it to put those restrictions in place. It's a lot to take in, so here's what you really need to know about the GameStop, AMC, and Wall Street. How does this all start? Let's see. Effectively, the Wall Street Bets crowd realized that Wall Street made a huge mistake. People known as short sellers were betting GameStop would fall had been too aggressive.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's a mistake. I mean,
it's
GameStop.
a mistake when keep in mind, when they finished short selling, they had short sold 108%. So now you've got 8% more than stock really existed. That's pretty stupid. But usually they get away with it.
Yeah, generally speaking, you don't want to advertise your short position in a stock. And I guess when you buy so much, People are going to notice.
In a stock that actually exists, you know.
The Wall Street Bets crowd understood that if they could create artificial demand for GameStop shares with their own money, they could force Wall Street to recalibrate its bets, pushing prices even higher, known as a short squeeze. And some investors who couldn't even back up their bets against GameStop would have to pay even more. As of January 27th, there were 3.8 million members of Wall Street Bets, though it's nearly impossible to determine how many people are involved in GameStop, AMC, and BlackBerry schemes. What we do know is that all this...
In the one I was listening to earlier, there are now 5 million members of Wall Street Bets.
Oh, yeah, they've been growing.
Yeah.
Actually, on that note, too, there's actually been a little bit of intrigue going on there. Apparently, there was a coup where the old moderators of Wall Street Bets, they
kicked out the original guy, right?
They kicked out some of the current active mods, in order to get movies and book deals.
Okay, well, said the guy who had started Wall Street Bets, they kicked him out.
Damn. So Reddit had to come in and put back in the active mods that oversaw this whole thing. But yeah, crazy. What we do know is that all this activity appears to have created a short squeeze where the short sellers betting against GameStop are being forced to buy more GameStop stock to cover their losses. That pushed the price up even more, which forces more short sellers to cover their losses, which pushes the price up even more. It's a vicious cycle.
I love it.
And that's why we're seeing GameStop's value swing up and down.
Yeah, exactly. But what I like about it is, I'm normally very much a capitalism guy, but to see these fat cats who are so used to manipulating things their way lose billions, I just love it. I just love it.
Hey, welcome, Jamalin. Look at you. Look at him. Hey, make it any way to make an entrance, huh? Great job, buddy. Let's see. Scroll all the way down to how much the GameStop shorts lose.
Okay, we'll go down. Going down. Okay.
They lost, as of January 27th, shorts appear to have lost about $5 billion against GameStop this year, according to Investopedia. About $1.6 billion happened on January 29th when the stock jumped 51%. It's also worth noting that GameStop began the year as one of the most shorted companies on the market.
Yep. Yeah, I saw a video I was watching yesterday or the day before. They said GameStop was now the most shorted companies ever in the history of Wall Street.
Let's see. What does the scroll all the way down to what does the government say?
Okay.
Last week, there you go.
Okay,
last week, the White House and the SEC both indicated that the administration was reviewing what's happening. On Wednesday, February 3rd, Reuters and the Washington Post reported that the Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen and other top financial regulators would meet amid increasing calls for financial oversight.
And she's the one that needs to excuse herself because the company that helped bail out some of the fat cats, she used to work for. So she's got a conflict of interest.
Secretary Yellen believes the integrity of markets is important and has asked for a discussion of recent volatility in financial markets and whether recent activities are consistent with investor protection and fair and efficient markets, Treasury spokesperson Alexandra Lamana said in a statement. Funny that she says that, fair and efficient markets. The owner of one of the hedge fund companies was pretty much like this. What does he say? This fair share is bullshit. So
yeah, exactly.
That's
because we're nothing to these people. So that's why I'm enjoying this.
Let's see. Now scroll down to what did Robinhood say.
Okay, I'm there.
On January 29th, the company published a blog post explaining that the company said it works with help users to trade stocks was what had set off all the drama. The company, a clearinghouse that helps facilitate the transaction of stocks and cash between buyers and sellers, requires Robinhood and other trading companies it works with to have a specific amount of money in deposits each day to cover their customer stock trades. That amount changes each day based in part of market volatility.
And that's because I used to have to take every once in a while, my boss would have me go down to the Treasury building and take some kind of certificates there that would cover exactly this type of thing for PaineWebber.
So Robinhood said the increased share trading led its clearinghouse to demand Robinhood increase its deposits tenfold. That's what led us to put temporary buying restrictions in place on a small number of securities that the clearinghouse had raised their deposit requirements on. The requirements were so large, it said that it had to restrict trades in order to meet its requirements. It was not because
they spin it. They put temporary buying in place on a small number of securities. Only the biggest short-selling security in history. Doesn't matter how many numbers of securities.
It was not because we wanted to stop people from buying these stocks. This is a dynamic and volatile market, and we have and may continue to take actions to make sure we meet our requirements as a broker so we can continue to serve our customers for the long term. Has Robinhood been in trouble with regulators before?
Yes.
Yes. That's all I'm going to say about that. What does GameStop have to say in all this? Scroll down.
Go ahead, I got it.
This is a nice, clear article. GameStop didn't respond to a request for comment. BlackBerry executives told MarketWatch it was not aware of any reason for the recent trading activity. BlackBerry did reach a settlement with Facebook earlier this month over a patent fight, though the terms were disclosed.
I didn't know Facebook and BlackBerry had a patent fight going on.
Yeah, and that's all I'm going to say on that.
Anyway, I think it's a terrific story. I don't think anybody knows where it's going to end up.
Hold on. What about?
I'm looking at the comments.
What about?
Yeah, Million says, and that he's absolutely right. We are nothing to these people. And Nigel's asking for Gary. Haven't seen Gary yet, but he came in late last week too. Million says you could sell and get nothing back. That's true.
I've been in the market myself, though, I'll have you know. Yep, I've got some Bitcoins going on. It's yes, through the Cash App. They do this thing, where they'll give you like it's sort of like cash back. So, if you spend money,
but you get it in Bitcoin?
Yeah, they give you 5% of your purchase in Bitcoin.
Okay.
They seldomly do it, though. It's like you have to.
You all should probably be getting into, which I haven't yet. I saw a story earlier today. I was working, so I just saw a headline. I think, was it Musk? It was either Musk or Bezos that's getting into Bitcoin stuff too. So it's where everybody's going. I think it's where we're going to all end up. Anyway, I thought that was a great story.
It's a great story unfolding as we're speaking. Who knows how it'll end?
The hedge fund guys may win, but I'm rooting for the Reddit guys big time. Okay. On to our next one. Going to share screen. This one is found on Android Authority. Of course, folks, at least I think the notes are in the comments. Oh. Renz, did you just give me what? How much? Oh, how much is that in our money? Anyway, Renz, thank you very much. You just gave me. Okay. Paperwork now. Just happy weekend to me and to everyone. All right, Renz, thanks very much.
That's that Philippine pesos.
Yeah, I don't know how much that is, but hey, anything anybody gives me, I'm very, very grateful for. Hope you get all your paperwork done.
Yeah, Renz, and he's going to be in the replay clue, I think he meant, so we'll try to give you a good show.
Okay.
Let's see.
Look at Brian. I would not get violent with them unless they did with me first. But yeah, I could see myself doing that. If you start it, I'll finish it. That's for sure. Let's see. Oh, see, I said I might just pull out my sax and play something when we can find. I didn't say when or if I would do it for sure, but that song I was playing at the beginning of the broadcast at Grover Washington Jr.'s Limelight, I used to play that in some bands. So I can still play that on sax. Oh, okay. Timoni's telling me it was $2.60. Well, I'm very grateful for that, and I'm grateful for you letting me know. He's educating the ignorant old man. I think that's good. Okay, this is the next story. This is on Android Authority. Again, interesting. If Wear OS is interesting to anybody, I don't know. Is Google's acquisition? Go ahead.
No, unless Wear OS comes to like a Speedmaster or Submariner. I don't think. No.
Okay. Well, I'm glad Will's not here just at this moment because he'd be, bad mouthing it left and right. You know that. Is Google's acquisition of Fitbit the death knell for Wear OS? And I'm not going to play the video. I'll just read the story. Let's see if I can get rid of ads as I can. In the middle of January, Google and Fitbit formally confirmed the former's acquisition of the latter. There's still some debate about whether or not the United States Department of Justice is going to quash the deal. For now, anyway, it appears the union is moving forward. Regardless of how you feel about the merger, it's clearly good news for Fitbit. Although Fitbit is basically a household name, it actually has a mediocre market share in the wearables industry. I didn't know it was this bad. According to Statista, the company had a global market share of 2.6% in 2020. That's pitiful. That's peanuts compared to Apple's 33.1% or Xiaomi's 13.6%. The Google deal will undoubtedly increase that market share. With the immensity of Google behind the brand, it would need to make some truly ghastly mistakes to not grow substantially over the next few years. The deal is also good news for Google. Although the company has pinky sworn not to use the health data of users for advertisement purposes, the deal will bring the Google ecosystem to a much larger wearable crowd. Google Assistant is already landing on the wrists of Fitbit users, and this deal suggests even more Google properties will follow. This all begs the question, what about Wear OS? Where does it stand in the Google Fitbit deal? Okay, it was originally published on January 30th. It's been updated to include the video. So anybody that wants to go to that video, you just have to pull it up from the notes. Ever since 2014, Google has had one wearable software platform. It was originally known as Android Wear, but became the Wear OS we know today in 2018. Over the past 7 years, unfortunately, Google has let the platform languish, but that's understating it. It started off strong with lots of support from major brands, including Motorola, LG, Huawei, and even Samsung. Today, though, none of those companies have a recent Wear OS device on the market. Why would you? Smaller players such as Fossil and Mobi are the main torchbearers for Wear OS nowadays. Our own Jimmy Westenberg recently penned an outstanding article on how Google has let Wear OS down over the years. You can check that out here from One. Yes, it has. With all that in mind, what about this Google Fitbit deal could possibly be good news for Wear OS? If in 7 years, with zero distractions, Google couldn't make the platform shine, what would change now that Fitbit is on board? Good point. The way I see it, there are 3 potential outcomes for Wear OS now. 1, Google abandons Wear OS entirely. That would be so Google. Wouldn't it? Come on now.
It would be.
This might be the most likely outcome. I agree. The so-called Google graveyard gets bigger and bigger every year. Platforms and products are in the graveyard that you have never thought would have ended up there. Google Play Music, Hangouts, Cloud Print, Inbox, and even Chrome Mats, and let's not forget Google Plus, are all dead or confirmed to die soon. With Wear OS essentially stagnant and owning a dismal market share, it would have been a textbook case
think I'm gonna have to read some of this, guys. If he froze again, let's see. Let's see. So in essence, this wouldn't be much of a difference from the previous potential outcome, where OS would take a backseat while Google and Fitbit would work together to get Fitbit OS to be better with a stronger app library. Since Wear OS already seems like an afterthought for Google, it certainly wouldn't become a priority of its damn ad is in the way.
It's a future Google graveyard.
Yeah, that's what Brian is saying. What do you say, Brian? Google would sell our health info to health insurance companies.
Got you. I got me.
Oh my God! I'm seeing double.
Now, where is the article? No, that's not what I want to do. Is this it? Okay, I got to share again. That's what I got to do. Okay. Share. Sorry about this, folks. It's just one of those nights here. And problematic tonight. Okay, that was the first outcome. Outcome 2. Google and Fitbit merge Wear OS and Fitbit OS. People like to dump on Wear OS a lot, but it's actually got quite a lot going for it. Its app library is robust, certainly much more than Fitbit's, and its openness allows for plenty of innovation. That's it, which is very bad. Since Wear OS's big strength is in apps and Fitbit's big weakness is a lack thereof, merging the two software systems together would seem like a good match. That's why it tells me Google wouldn't do this logical thing. However, this might just be an extension of Google killing off Wear OS. In other words, it would certainly be easier for Fitbit OS to stay as the platform for Fitbit devices rather than porting a reconfigured Wear OS Fitbit OS hybrid. This is especially true when you remember that Fitbit makes fitness trackers too, which simply won't be able to handle Wear OS. That's true. So in essence, this wouldn't be that much different from the previous potential outcome. Wear OS would take a backseat while Google and Fitbit work together to get Fitbit OS to be better with a stronger app library. Since Wear OS already seems like an afterthought for Google, it certainly wouldn't become more of a priority if its energy is focused on Fitbit OS. Thus, we're back at outcome number 1. That's true. This is a very sensible article.
Yeah.
Outcome 3. Wear OS and Fitbit OS exist simultaneously. That's a really bad idea, I think. This is the most unlikely possibility. The only reason this would happen is that other brands rely on Wear OS to power their wearables. If Google up and dropped Wear OS, it would cost Fitbit partnerships with Wear OS. Okay, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
Oh no, I feel like you're breaking in and out. It's gonna have to take over from where you left off.
Okay. It's not just those hardware companies listed above, but also software developers. It would be a logistical nightmare to pull the plug on the whole platform overnight. The company might think it better to simply let Wear OS limp along while it focuses on Fitbit. Maybe so. How long could that go on, though? How long until those hardware partners sense they are on a losing team? How long before those software devs start creating for other platforms such as Fitbit OS, which to me might be the best thing to do? Once again, with enough time, we're getting back to outcome number 1. It's like all roads lead to outcome number 1. Bottom line, Google Fitbit deal news for Wear OS fans. I didn't think of it that way, but yeah, it makes sense. No matter which of these outcomes happens, one thing is clear. Wear OS doesn't benefit. In the end, logic dictates that we come to see the end of the platform. Even in the very unlikely event that Google decides to keep it alive and maintain it as it has been doing, let's hope not, that means not much would likely change. We would probably continue to see the same lack of platform success as we have over the past 7 years. That is sad. The best we can do now is wait. Google has already started promoting Fitbit products on the Google Store. It's only a matter of time before the future software plans for Fitbit hardware come to light. Once that happens, we'll have a better idea of how that translates to Wear OS. In the meantime, the Wear OS fans should keep an eye on the next Fitbit products. They could be forced to switch teams in the future. And it makes perfect sense because with the people supporting it and with the devs, they're kind of between a rock and a hard place. But I think the best thing to do is go ahead and develop Fitbit OS. What do you think, Ted?
I don't know. I think, yeah, Google.
Well, Wear OS has been a loser for such a long time, you know. Oh, now I get to display. Thank you, Mullen. Got another $4. People are nice to me. I like it. Let's see. Let's see.
I think Google will probably kill Wear OS at this point.
Google would sell our health info insurance companies. Hey, they might. That's true. Yeah. So I had the doppelganger.
Yeah, you did.
See. Yeah. Mom says two Georges, one is enough. Okay. Doppelganger. Okay.
He's also very white. Luckily, the other George was quiet, which was very
well. I do have Irish on both sides of the family, so let's see. Even Samsung don't use Wear OS; they use Tizen. That's true. Well, I think didn't Samsung try to use Wear OS in the beginning, and they just dropped it and went with Tizen in the very beginning?
Yeah, I think so, but I can't remember what was the watch. I think the first Tizen product was actually a sports watch. And then they just used it for the rest of all their products. Yeah. I can't even remember.
And I agree, Brian. If I was Samsung, I wouldn't trust it either. I mean, Google, like the guy said, they have been totally lax in any kind of support for years now. You know, they were on fire for like the first year and a half pushing it, and then they just seemed like they just totally stopped caring, in my opinion. Yeah. Okay, next one is for you. And the only thing I don't like about this story is you have to be in a beta to use it today, and I'm not putting my iPhone in beta. Okay, I'm sharing now. Okay, and this one is on CNN Business. Whenever you're ready, Ted.
Okay, let's see. Give me the clean reader mode. Come on. Okay. There we go. I got scared for a second. Okay. Apple tests new ways to unlock an iPhone without removing a face mask. After almost a year, thank you. Some iPhone users will soon be able to.
I'm sick to death of it.
Will soon be able to unlock their smartphones without needing to remove their face mask in public. There's just one catch. It requires an additional Apple device. Apple is testing. Which one?
This one. Yeah.
Oh, you're showing us the watch. Apple is testing new iOS software that will allow people to unlock their iPhone's face recognition security tool, Face ID, if they also happen to be wearing an Apple Watch. Currently, Face ID recognizes when someone is wearing a mask and triggers the passcode entry screen to appear.
And it gets very aggravating after a while.
Yeah, but the latest update, which is part of a developer beta test likely to roll out broadly soon, will allow an iPhone to communicate with a synced Apple Watch when the phone is raised to the user's face. When authentication is complete, the device must be in close proximity. The iPhone will automatically unlock and the Apple Watch will vibrate. Apple said users will need to opt into this feature, by the way, Google had this feature for about, what, 6 years?
Well,
For
there's nothing new with Apple and Google.
So for security purposes, the update will only work to allow the phone. Users will still need to type in a passcode to make transactions through Apple Pay, the App Store, or iTunes if wearing a mask. The latest update is both another step to support mask wearing during the pandemic and a potential incentive for Apple customers to purchase a smartwatch, or at least the one they have more frequently. While Apple's latest mobile operating system launched in September, the company continually releases updates to fix bugs or introduce new features. Also, due later this spring, Apple is expected to introduce a new requirement for users to give explicit permissions for apps to track them across the internet.
That's good. Okay, so gotta wait till they're out of beta and go to the real world. Anyway, I'll be glad when it comes because every time I forget and I go to raise it up and then it makes me put in the passcode. And after a while, it starts to get very aggravating to me. Anyway.
Yeah, that's why I use my Android phone out in public and my iOS in the house.
Well, when I go to work, I have this, my S21 Ultra. I have this, my 12 Pro, and I have this, my Google Pixel. For some reason, when I'm out off work,
no Surface Duo?
No, not in my pocket. Although I did take it to work in my pocket for the first 2 months or so, and I found that I could put it in my upper shirt pocket and it would, barely fit, but it fit. So I just don't know why I take 3 phones to work and the rest of the time I just carry 2 phones. But it's a habit now. Let's see. Of course, you knew we had to expect that.
Yeah, Brian.
How many hundreds of thousands or millions of people have said the exact same thing? And Brian's saying this is why he has a hard time buying a new iPhone. Okay. But I love my iPhone. Although I'm suspecting my 21 Ultra camera is better. I can't prove it yet, but I suspect my 21 Ultra camera is better than both my Pixel 4a and my iPhone. But we'll soon know.
I don't know. We couldn't tell. We could barely tell in the video, Mike and I, in your Samsung video between the S20 and the S21 Ultra.
Right. But there were a number of users that thought the 21 was way better. There was one user who thought the 20 was better. So, it's like we all have these differing opinions. It's all of, a matter of each person's taste, which is why I do the videos in the first place. So it's working. All right. Now we're going back to CNET because I figured you might have missed it. Okay, sharing screen. At least the computer stayed on for a while. The Wi-Fi is here, but you'll need new devices in order to take advantage. Here are your top options. Wi-Fi is the newest and fastest version of Wi-Fi 6 said anything. Okay, that's why I got the interference. All right, Ted disappeared for a second. Let's see if he comes back. Ted, you disappeared on me. I don't know if you can hear me. Why did Ted disappear? Or did he? Well, hopefully he'll come back in. All right, I'm going to continue. Oh, Ted is saying, hold on. Okay. All right, so we'll just hang on to what we've got. Okay. I can't help it, folks. It's in me. As Brian say, all good pauses are normal. Okay. You're very forgiving, Brian. I appreciate that. All right, I'm hoping Ted comes right back in. I'm wondering, should I go on reading the story or wait for him? I'll try to wait for him for a second. or a few seconds, I should say. Brian says he's currently using his 2020. Okay, here comes Ted back. Let's see, add him to the stream. Okay, I think he's coming back slowly. I can hear you clicking. Oh, there he is. There's the beautiful face. Okay.
Oh, I thought that was.
Brian was very, very forgiving about the pause, which I thought was very nice. All good pauses are normal. Okay, back to the article. Wi-Fi 6 is the newest and fastest version of Wi-Fi, and we've watched it gradually start to roll out across the top wireless devices since its arrival in 2019. At this point in 2021, there are plenty of interesting options if you're looking to buy in. In a nutshell, Wi-Fi 6 is capable of speeds. We can hear that. In a nutshell, Wi-Fi 6 is capable of speeds that are about 30% faster than the fastest Wi-Fi 5 speed. That's cool. And it's much better equipped to handle busy networks with lots of devices, as well as dense, crowded environments with lots of users. It won't do anything to speed up a slow ISP connection, so don't expect miracles, but it will help you get the fastest, most efficient connection possible at home, which is great. A Wi-Fi router, which means, that's right, since it's my landlord's router, I can't control that. And new Wi-Fi 6 devices in order to enjoy those benefits at home. Here are the top options currently available, which we'll update regularly. Phones. It's not surprising that after routers, smartphones were among the first devices to start incorporating support for Wi-Fi 6. Samsung was the first with the Galaxy S10. I had that. But Apple, LG, Huawei, and others were soon to follow suit. As of now, the list of phones that can connect at faster Wi-Fi 6 speeds includes Huawei P40 Pro, iPhone 11, 11 Pro, 11 Pro Max, iPhone SE, you're covered, Brian. iPhone 12, 12 Pro, 12 Pro Max, and 12 Mini, I'm covered. LG V60 Thin Q, Motorola Edge Plus, OnePlus 8 and 8 Pro, Rishi's covered. Samsung Galaxy S10 and S10e, Samsung Galaxy Note 10, Samsung Galaxy Note 20, which is being shipped back tomorrow, and the Samsung Galaxy Fold.
What about the Fold 2? Not the Fold 2?
And not Fold 2 isn't on here, and neither is the 21. If you notice, I'll bet you it does have it, but I didn't make this list. What about the phones that don't support Wi-Fi 6? The Samsung Galaxy Z Flip comes to mind, but Google's Pixel lineup is probably the most notable example. I agree. Even the newest models, the Pixel 5 and Pixel 4a 5G, don't include Wi-Fi 6 support. That's sad. We're also starting to see the very first phones that support Wi-Fi 6E, a new designation for Wi-Fi 6 devices that are equipped to tap into the newly open 6 gigahertz band, which offers a massive amount of spectrum with no interference from older gen connections. There's mine. The first phones to support the designation include the Samsung Galaxy S21, so I do have it, as well as 2 gaming phones, the Lenovo Legion and the Asus ROG Phone 3. Each of these uses Qualcomm Snapdragon 865 Plus processor, which boasts support for the Wi-Fi 6E and 5G, which tells me the 888 must support it too then. It's pretty likely that we'll see a handful of other phones jump in with Wi-Fi 6E by the end of the year too, so stay tuned. And here's your laptops that have Wi-Fi 6. Asus Chromebook Flip C436, Dell XPS 13 2020, HP Spectre X360, Lenovo Yoga C940, LG Gram 17, I never even heard of that one. Microsoft Surface Laptop Go. And nope, none of Apple's laptops support Wi-Fi 6 yet, not even the newest 13-inch MacBook Pro. But that doesn't surprise me because Apple never jumps on anything when it's brand new, right?
That's true.
Okay.
That is very true.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, Apple likes proven stuff. Other recent Wi-Fi 6 devices include the new 8th gen iPad and 4th gen iPad Air. So my iPad does have it. Okay. But we haven't seen Wi-Fi 6 support in many other types of devices. No TVs, no streamers, no smart home gadgets. That's likely to change in the coming months, though. We'll be sure to update this post as Wi-Fi threads. So there's one big exception, routers. You'll need one that supports Wi-Fi 6 running your home network if you want to take full advantage of the Wi-Fi 6 radio in your fancy new phone or laptop. And fortunately, you've already got a lot of options. My favorite among them is the Asus Zen Wi-Fi AX, a two-piece Wi-Fi 6 mesh router, which I think is the best, that costs $450. That's a lot of money for a router. It isn't cheap, but it aced my test and offers just about everything you could reasonably matter. Even more of an upgrade, the $600 Netgear Orbi AX6000, which hit the fastest top speeds we've ever seen from a mesh router. If you don't need a multi-point mesh router, or if you just don't want to pay that much, you'll find Wi-Fi 6 support in standalone models that cost a little less. I like the TP-Link Archer AX6000. It hit the fastest speeds our test lab has ever seen, and you can get it for less than $300. Okay. Meanwhile, the TP-Link Archer AX1500 costs just $80 or less, though the top speeds are more limited. If I got one, that would be the one I'd get. Expect to see lots of new Wi-Fi 6 routers like those in 2021. We've already tested a few of the new ones that made their debut at this year's All Virtual CES, including the Asus RT AX68U and the Aris. Ted, did you ever hear of Aris?
Yeah, hold on. I see them all the time in routers.
Oh, I see.
Who owns that model again?
Aris. Surfboard Max AS60.
Yeah, I see them mostly in modems. That's why I see the name Aris.
Okay. Hey, Serrano's in here. Hey, Serrano, glad to have you here. And Nigel's still here. Okay. And the Molin is saying the LG Gram is a very nice laptop.
It is very nice and durable. It gives it's a great ultrabook, what you call a workhorse.
Okay, cool. In addition, you might be able to update an older laptop with a new Wi-Fi 6 radio. For instance, Rivet Network sells the killer AX1650 Wi-Fi 6 adapter for laptops with an M.2 connector and a standby key AOE socket. We picked one up last year to upgrade the laptop in our test lab. It works with the very first routers that include access to the newly unlocked 6 gigahertz band. The first thus far is the Asus GT-AX-E 11000, a premium gaming router that's set to hit stores this month. Later this year, expect to see new Wi-Fi 6E routers from Netgear, Linksys, TP-Link, and others too. So I just thought that was an interesting story. I didn't know they made specific gaming routers. Shows you what I know.
Yep. I don't know if I'll ever experience the beauty of Wi-Fi 6 speeds. I just started... Then my last biggest breakthrough for me was 4K gaming, which was a few months ago, thanks to Google Stadia.
Right. That's right. Somebody mentioned that last week, I think, in the stream.
All right. Ivan, so other milestones I need to experience are...
Go ahead.
Well, no, my iPad gives me the faster refresh rate thing, but...
yeah, so does mine.
Although, faster refresh rate on an AMOLED screen, I still need to experience that. Okay. And now 5G on a phone, and then, maybe 4K on a smartphone, see what that's like too.
Okay.
Otherwise,
I've got 3 5G phones so far. Well, I've got 4, but My friend Don is going to buy one of them. So, okay. And our last story, I think, before we get to, isn't this our last story before we get to?
Yeah, it's the last story.
Okay. All right, this one's on you. Right, I'm sharing. Yeah, I've been watching some of this on some videos. And the people in Australia, especially the Prime Minister, they're very pissed off at Google. So, okay, go ahead. This was on Tech News World.
No, sorry, it's not coming up.
I'm looking at Ren's. Ren's didn't leave. The name of these gadgets are something special. Look at this. GTX 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 QWERTY makes my head hurt. I can understand that.
Also, project name, every other password idiots think of.
Yeah.
Let's see. Aussies play Bing card in dispute with Google. That's a weird one. Microsoft is set to step in with its Bing search engine should Google make good on its promise to cut service to Australia, the court's prime minister revealed Monday.
Country's prime minister.
Speaking at the National Press Club of Australia, PM Scott Morrison said he's spoken to Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella, who is confident Bing could meet the needs of Australians should Google exit, the Associated Press reported. Google pledged to cut service off to Australia at a public hearing last month over a proposed law to make technology firms pay for news content produced by the country's media companies. Morrison maintained that it is important for Australia to set rules that are right for its people. Having a news environment in Australia that is sustainable and supported commercially is vital to the functioning of democracy, he added. Google did not respond to the request for a comment for the story, but Microsoft, in a statement provided to the Tech World News, said, "We recognize the importance of vibrant media sector and public interest journalism in a democracy, and we recognize the challenges the media sector has faced over many years through changing business models and consumer preferences. With respect to the current controversy over a potential code of conduct governing Google and Facebook," it continued, "Microsoft is not directly involved, and we shouldn't want to comment on what's going on in the ongoing process involving the ACCC and those companies. The ACC, or the Australian Competition and Consumer Commission, is the Australian regulator that drafted the controversial law." So, how serious is Google's threat to Australia? Google has to be serious, said Greg Sterling, Vice President of Market Insights at Uberall, maker of location marketing solutions based in Berlin. If Australia doesn't budge and Google blinks, other countries won't take Google's hard bargaining seriously. All things considered, it's unlikely Google will act, according to Karsten Weed, Program VP for Digital Media and Entertainment at IDC. On the other hand, because Australia is such a small market with little revenue at stake, they might act on their threat. To state an example, it would also make them look weak if they did it after issuing the threat. On the other hand, it would make them look like a bully at a time when there is significant techlash taking place, and for what? Lose-lose proposition. If this problem goes on too long, with both sides will lose, maintained Jackie Gold, founder of principal analyst at J.K. Gold Associates, an IT advisory company in Northborough, Massachusetts. Businesses all over the world are looking at this, and they see Google making money off of them, and they're not getting anything. But Google does offer a service. It gets people to websites they wouldn't get to otherwise. The question is, who's going to back down first? If Google doesn't back down, they'll lose revenues from Australia. In the worldwide scheme of things, that's pretty small.
That's right.
Losing Australia isn't going to put Google out of business. According to the New York Times, Google Australia collected roughly $3.3 billion from Australian advertisers in 2019 and paid about $77 million in taxes with a reported profit of about $637 million. Gold maintained the conflict is a lose-lose proposition. If Google pays new businesses, it sets up Google to have to do the same thing everywhere else because everyone else is going to demand it. Meanwhile, Australian businesses will miss the referral machine that is Google. It's the first place people go to for information. If you're a news agency, you pick up a lot of subscribers from referrals from Google. As for Bing replacing Google, he observed Bing is second string, maybe even third string. It's not going to cut it. It'll cut it. I use Bing on my
I
phone.
think it'll work. Yeah.
Google has the most leverage here, but in politics, anything can happen. Google has no leverage because there's Bing.
Well, I don't think Google. I agree with them that Google can't afford to back down. They said if Australia passed a law that Google had to pay them when they use news stories from Australia, and Google said they absolutely were going to cut off service. Well, they passed the law. I don't think Google can back down. And I agree. If they cave in here, then everybody's going to ask for it. And why wouldn't they? You know.
While Microsoft is anxious to pick up the slack should Google desert Australia, it remains to be seen how much it will benefit from a Google exit. The market is too small for Microsoft to make big gains, noted White, but it would be a PR victory. If Australia won't let Google publish any of its stuff, some percentage of people would go to Bing, but it would be a small percentage of users. Most people would stay on Google and not get the Australian stuff anymore. Google and Microsoft have been battling this out for years, and Microsoft has always come up a distant second. Why would that change? During the same hearing where Google delivered its ultimatum, Facebook too threatened to block links to Australian media if the payment bill became law. Today, Google and Facebook proved in a dramatic fashion that they pose an existential threat to the world's democracies. Director of the Open Market Institute, a Washington, D.C. advocacy group against corporate concentration and monopoly power. Let me save that for later.
Okay.
Now, excuse me, let me just get up Google Keep. I'm going to do some research on these guys because I like the sound of what they're talking about.
Okay. Well, anybody in Washington, they're all they're talking monopoly,
But meanwhile, the two competitions are exploiting their monopoly control over essential communications to extort, bully, and cow a free people. Mm-hmm. Path
see what
to
the Billion says. Bing can't keep up with Google search, no way. That's probably true, but okay, go ahead.
I mean, they could probably keep up with Google search in Australia.
I doubt it. But still, it's better than nothing,
Let's see. Despite the rhetoric, there may be a path to compromise since Google has already cut a deal in France to pay publishers. They're based on criteria set by Google, such as contribution to general discussion, publication volume, and audience size. If a French publisher disputes a payment, the dispute would likely have to be settled in a court. A publisher, especially a small publisher, would likely take what Google's willing to give them, rather than wait for a payment until the end of the expensive litigation that could last years. In the Australian model, disputes are settled by an independent arbitration panel. If Australia prevails, its arbitration model is likely to be adopted by other countries. Sterling explained, this is what concerns Google. We, though, contend that the arbitration scheme is something that might work in a small country like Australia, but wouldn't work in larger countries like the US, England, France, or Germany. If Australia sticks to its guns, it could have another global consequence for Google. By losing Australia, it could stifle people's spines in other parts of the world. Regulators see Australia fighting back, so they will too.
Okay. I agree with the one that said, I don't think Google can back down because they said if you pay, and Facebook too, they said if you pass this law, we're getting out. But if Australia, like the last paragraph said, if Australia sticks to its guns, a lot of other countries might jump. I could see EU companies jumping on this bandwagon.
Yep.
Want to get paid for their news stories too. So anyway, it'd be interesting to see if Google does back down. Then everybody in the world's going to be asking, "We want to get paid for any news you put on your site." So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, Google's got to share its revenue, ad revenues that it would have made.
Yep. All right, so we're on to glowing rectangles, folks. So Ted, you do the share, and I'll allow it here.
Okay. Hold on, let me just...
Let's see who's number one today.
Yes. Let me share my screen. What's going on? There you go.
What's going on? Okay.
Oh, come on, share.
Yeah, I'm waiting. I haven't seen it yet.
Ooh, you can share video files.
Yes, yeah, that's a brand new thing. Yeah, as big as you want to. Yeah, they announced that last night. I watch the StreamYard live every week. Okay, you should be okay. It's a stream. There we go. There you go. Oh,
All right,
so
guys.
the boys came up number 1 this week, huh?
It would appear so. So, we want to find fun tech reviews from folks who deserve more attention. Real people reviews, smaller blogs, YouTubers. Every little bit of signal boost helps, especially for people building a new channel, like George here.
Exactly. Well, it's not that new anymore. It's 4 years old.
All right. So go ahead and if you find a tech video that you find is interesting, worth commenting, or furthers a tech discussion, go ahead and drop it and share it to the R Glowing Rectangles subreddit. Yes. And the top story on the Glowing Rectangles subreddit on reddit.com belongs to some gadget guy and what's his name?
TK Bay.
TK Bay. They've actually started doing they started a weekly podcast called Every Thursday, Best of Our Week, and it's gotten the top spot.
Nice guy. I've met him a number of times.
I'm can't even upload fast enough. But yeah, they made it to the top, and the next.
And I see Techspert there. I follow him.
Number 2 on the list is Techspert. Go ahead and check him out, where he goes over a weekly recap of what happened this week in tech news.
Yeah.
And number 3 goes to, what is this, Tech King Mike?
Is that Mike? Oh, yeah, it is.
But yeah, reddit.com r/glowing rectangles.
So the whole point, folks, is if you want to get a small YouTuber that you like to get a little more exposure, anybody can upload it to Glowing Rectangles, and then people will vote it. And if it gets voted to the top, well, either way, people will get more exposure. But of course, they'll get more exposure if it gets voted to the top. So it's a pretty cool idea. Juan Bagnell started this. Some gadget guy.
Speaking of that guy that we spoke about yesterday, that we discovered on the Glowing Rectangle subreddit.
Right, last week.
Yeah, Altdad, I think his name was. He's been putting out content
like crazy. Okay, well, he said he was jumping kind of with both feet, so that makes sense.
Yeah, pretty good stuff too. Oddly though, he doesn't put that, like, he just uploaded it once, and he hasn't put out the new videos on the Glowing Rectangle subreddit.
Okay,
that's weird. But yeah, it's good stuff. Did you subscribe?
Me? Yeah, a while ago. Yeah, I get it. Did I subscribe to him, you mean?
Yeah.
Did I? I don't think I did. I got busy. I was really, really busy this week, and I forgot about it, to tell you the truth.
And then there's this advert from your phone, the Galaxy S21 Ultra 5G.
It's a great phone. I think it's worth the money, personally.
Let me just download that.
And tomorrow morning, the Galaxy S20 gets shipped back to Samsung.
All right.
Anyway,
that's
our show for tonight. So, Ted, it's on you next week. We're good to go with that.
Hold on, let me check my calendar. Actually,
check.
That's Valentine's Day weekend, George.
Okay. Is Ren's Mr. Overtime, Mike the Joker, not here yet? Already asked him over Telegram, but no reply. Okay, so I guess he just got busy. And I know he's been working a ton of overtime this week, and then he gets busy with his family. So, somewhat understandable.
That's a shame.
So, how is your calendar looking? Are you too busy for our subscribers? Is that what you're trying to say, sucker?
It's why is it taking so long to load? This MacBook is usually good. It's only until I have to do these streams, and it's like, It just wants to cough.
Ryan has a question, meanwhile. If you only had one phone, what would you use? Well, of course, right this second, Brian, I would have to say the Galaxy S21 Ultra. I think it's, for me right now, the best phone I've ever used in my life, ever.
Like, it's a phone that we already own?
Well, he didn't say. He said if you only had one, what would you use? That's all.
Ooh,
I
don't know.
Galaxy
If it was a
S21.
phone that I already own, I'd probably just stick with the iPhone 11.
Well, until I got a hold of the Ultra, I would have said the iPhone 12 Pro, or I'd probably take the iPhone 11 Pro Max. But if Huawei was in the game, if they could get Google services, I'm sure Huawei would be right in there in my top choice too. But they can't, so they're not in the game anymore. So that would be seeing some. I should watch TechSpert's video tomorrow because
I got some gigs.
He's doing some Nokia stuff, and I like Nokia phones, and now I haven't bought one in like a year and a half, 2 years. So I hope they come back because they've kind of fallen off too, you know. And they were doing great with the budget and mid-range phones, especially the budget phones. So in the morning says he uses old rotary phone. Okay, it's probably the one in the kitchen on the wall with the rotary dial and the long cord that walks into the other room. I know.
I don't know. I don't think I have a couple of gigs the next week. And
Listen to Brian. Brian says I'm throwing my iPhone 12 Pro under the bus. No, but I am throwing it under the Ultra. I really, so far, I think the Ultra is the best phone that I've ever used in my life. That's just my opinion. It's a heavy phone, I'll give you that.
So I was gonna say, no, I don't think I can do next week's show.
All right, so I'll do next week, but you can be here.
You
can't be here.
Make sure you get Will Mike with you.
If I have to do it by myself, I guess I can. Okay. Oh, okay. Look at the minute saying, yes, it is a nice phone, and it takes nice pictures. It doesn't take great video, but and I still have it, and I'm probably not going to get rid of it. And now he's laughing at me. Look at, see? Okay.
Let's see. I got Brady for this weekend.
What is that?
The Super Bowl.
Oh, okay. See, I haven't watched any football this year because once they started kneeling, I stopped watching, and I said I wouldn't watch 1 minute of football, and I haven't.
Let's see.
Although I do believe they have the two best quarterbacks in the game, and I think Brady proved his point. He does not need Bill, does he? Give him a few weapons.
Yeah.
But yeah, quarterback-wise, it should be a terrific, interesting game.
Yeah.
All right, so next week, folks, we're going to be right back here at Mobile Geezer, and either I'll be by myself or...
He might be by himself. You might be right. Yes, I'm sorry, George. Yeah.
I might get Mike, or maybe I'll find somebody to reach out to. We'll see how that goes.
Will?
Okay.
Maybe Will can come.
Yeah, Will's impossible to get until he's finishes his nursing courses. I don't see it happening.
Or what was that thing? Jerome. I haven't seen Jerome in all week.
I thought about Jerome, but he's another one. He's too busy. He's got 5 jobs or something like that all the time. So I may think of somebody to reach out to, but I haven't thought of it yet. So it's either going to be me or somebody. Okay, so you'll have to show up to find out. How's that for incentive?
Oh, a mystery guest.
Exactly.
That hasn't been done in a while.
Then they all show up and it's just me.
Yeah.
I'll have to use my alter ego for the
You just have to use your doppelganger again.
Exactly. There you go. All right, folks. Thanks for sticking with us. Thanks for the super chats. Very much appreciated. And hope to see you next week. And hopefully we'll have Ted back here in 2 weeks, I hope.
Yes.
All right. And maybe we'll get lucky with Mike next week. Who knows? All right, folks. So have a wonderful and a blessed weekend. And I'll see you next week. Here comes the pregnant pause.